Today is a day of celebration for those who hate AI. Microsoft scales back AI goals because almost nobody is using Copilot. That's right, folks. It is completely over for Microsoft. Now, not completely, but you gotta admit, it is not looking good. Look what's happening here. Microsoft has cut its sales target for its agentic AI software after struggling to find buyers interested in using it. Microsoft, one of the leading companies, almost everybody has Windows, and yet even with this distribution advantage, they are not able to find interested buyers for their agentic software. In some cases, targets have been slashed by up to 50%, suggesting Microsoft overestimated the potential of its new AI tools. And of course, Microsoft is pushing back. They're saying, no, it's no big deal. But this all just trying to save face, right? In this AI race, they're all trying to save face. And in my opinion, we're definitely starting to see the cracks, okay? The cracks are starting to show. It's not to say that this bubble is done for. This bubble can, go on for much longer than we can expect. But it is definitely showing cracks, and this is all very good news for employees. Indeed, compared with ChatGPT and Google's Gemini, Copilot is falling behind, raising concerns about Microsoft's sustainable AI investment. Now, I do apologize, it says it's substantial. Now, what's very important to understand though is the Microsoft definitely has its tentacles in this thing. I do believe they own a big chunk of ChatGPT, and also obviously they have the cloud, they're cloud providers. So they're not broke, right? They're still benefiting from this entire thing. They just thought they could do it themselves, and it's looking like they're gonna be a background player, which is very bullish for anybody in the white collar jobs. Pretty much all companies use Microsoft except for the very fancy or cutting edge companies. And so, you don't have to fear being taken over, is what this article is telling me. Tests from earlier this year found that AI agents failed to complete tasks up to 70% of the time, making them almost entirely redundant as a workforce replacement tool. Do you see that? They're saying the quiet part out loud. As a workforce replacement tool. They were trying to replace us, folks. It is what it is, but at least they're coming up with that, and they're showing that they simply put can't. That's why they're revealing their hands. Look, these AIs hallucinate. The hallucination is simply too great. You can't have these hallucinating AI. So I think it's not going to be AI by itself. It's going to be AI plus an employee, and then over time, in the beginning, the amount of employees required is going to be the same, but that number is probably going to just drop over time, right? So it is very bullish to see that, hey, look, your job is fine. 70, the overwhelming majority of the time, this thing makes an error, okay? That means it's essentially completely used. Other AI companies are just doing better too. Windows Central report that OpenAI's ChatGPT commands 61% of the market. And remember, Microsoft owns a big chunk of ChatGPT. And not a big chunk, but I think something like 10 to 20%, I don't remember the exact number. And Google's Gemini is now less than 1% behind Microsoft, 14% with Copilot. So right now, Microsoft owns about 14% of the market, but has not been growing, whilst Google Gemini has been growing. And when you think about it, Microsoft is just not cool, okay? Microsoft doesn't have taste. You just have to be honest. That's the reality. And Google just has way more data, is way more integrated, has a browser, has all these things. I think Google's way better positioned. I think Microsoft's probably gonna, try to be friends with ChatGPT again and just focus on that. But who knows? With that being said, definitely let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. And I want to give a special shout out to the Patreons. And if you would like to support this channel, definitely consider becoming a Patreon. Salute, soldier.